Good morning and welcome to Take 10 this Wednesday morning. I wonder what kind of a week you've been having. And I wonder also what you think when I use the word Sabbath. It comes from a Hebrew word, Shabbat, which means to rest. But there's another Hebrew word used for rest as well, and that is nuach, which means more to dwell, to be fully present. In the Bible, the concept of Sabbath is introduced in the second chapter of Genesis, when it tells us that after the work of creation, God rested. For Christians, Sabbath is a holy day. It is a day set aside for God. Other faiths have particular holy days. For Muslims, Friday is the day they gather together for corporate Jummah prayers. Various Christian traditions will honour a Saturday or a Sunday as Sabbath. What day of the week it is isn't important here. It's the meaning and purpose behind Sabbath that I have been pondering of late. Here are some quotes from some Christian authors. Eugene Peterson says, "Sabbath is that uncluttered time and space in which we can distance ourselves from our own activities enough to see what God is doing." Charles Swindoll wrote, "God presents the Sabbath rest as a shelter we can enter." Walter Brueggemann says, "Sabbath is the practice of letting your life rest safely in God's hands." And lastly, David Shepherd adds, "To lose the Sabbath would be as unthinkable as forgetting to breathe." Sabbath rest is so important to God that it was included within the Ten Commandments, making it a symbol of belief and love and commitment. So what does it actually mean? Well, Sabbath doesn't have to mean silence, though sometimes we need to take a break from the general noise of life. Sabbath is life-giving. It is edifying to you, body, soul, and spirit, and in turn, edifying to those around you. Sabbath is about taking a regular, rhythmic time of rest. I heard someone say once that in the West, we tend to binge rest. We work frantically all year, take an annual 2-week holiday in the sunshine where generally we eat and drink too much, and then we come back and do it all again. If you read the account of creation in Genesis, you'll see that Adam's first day on earth was in fact a day of rest. There is a very subtle but distinct difference between us working from a place of rest or us resting, often more like collapsing, at the end of a week of work. Can you see that difference? If you look honestly at your life, do you tend to view Sabbath, call it the weekend if you wish, as a day or a time to collapse and recover from the toil and stresses of the week? Or do you view it as a time to be restored and re-energized and enter a new week with fresh commitment and enthusiasm? Sometimes we need to remind ourselves that any jobs left undone will still be there after your day of rest. The key difference is that you will approach that task from a fresh and rested perspective. Very few animals need to be reminded to take rest. Are we the only part of God's creation that finds this so difficult? I've never yet met a cat that doesn't know how to rest. Maybe our failure to find Sabbath rest is not so much because the weekend is too short, but rather that it is too full, and full of the wrong things. So how do we actually do this when sometimes the demands and pressures of life simply feel relentless? Well, your first challenge is to identify a time of the week that works for you. Sabbath should be a full 24-hour break, but to start with even half a day would be good. Identify those things that crowd in on your life and consider how you can address these. Choosing to have one day a week when we clear our calendars of such obligations. Consider what activities are truly life-giving for you. Gardening, walking, a movie night, coffee or a meal with friends. Moments spent in the company of good friends can be as much about Sabbath rest as time spent alone. Be intentional and plan your Sabbath well. Don't just let it happen. And here's the toughest one. Consider taking a digital detox. No emails, no mobile phones. Whether you are Christian, Muslim, Hindu, or of no faith whatsoever, the concept of Sabbath rest is for all humanity. Taking time to rest and recenter and re-energize ourselves, body, soul, and spirit. I hope that you can find some Sabbath rest.